girl, Coco 9 to 9. I got three of my grandkids over here today. So I'm up. I can't sleep. If y'all hear somebody snoring, that is actually one of my sons downstairs, okay? So, um, y'all, I am so weighed down today. Right now, I just want to share a little bit. So, anybody who knows me know that I am, without a shadow of a doubt, I am a daddy's girl, okay? Now, I have a lot of siblings, but all the mothers to my siblings knew that my mom was my dad's sweetheart, the love of his life. And so everybody called me his favorite, which, right or wrong, he kind of showed that with me. And he said it's because that I am a son he never had, and I got brothers. So what he means is I'm his twin. For me to be a female, I'm more like my dad than than any of my other siblings. And plus, he fell in love with my mom when she was 15, and they started trying to date again before his death at 65 years of age. Um, it goes to show me how somebody can go through their life wanting that one true love they feel that they were meant to be with, but for whatever reason they couldn't be with them, because that was my dad. He had been married twice, and I mean, he went on with his business, but like I said, even they knew that my mom outranked everybody. Like if my mother called, he hurried up and snapped to it or whatever. So, y'all, I'm gonna tell y'all this story. So, first of all, I can tell when it gets close, and I'm trying not to cry, y'all. So, I can tell when it starts to get close to the death of my dad, the anniversary of his death, because my mental state, my emotions go through this transformation. I don't know, it's just, I can't put no words on it, but I go through something. And I'm going to tell you what happened, and then I'll go back and tell you some things about my dad. So, my dad and I could talk about anything, but before I get into that, let me just tell you, I was starting a brand new job, and I was driving on the expressway, and the person that I have a child by is my dad's nephew, okay? So his mother is the oldest child. My daddy's the second oldest, okay? Oldest son, second oldest child. And he called me on the phone, and he said, what are you doing? And I said, I'm going to work. I said, today's my first day, so I need you to pull over. Now he said, where you at? I said, on the expressway, and he said, I need you to pull over. I said, for what? He said, because I got something I got to tell you. I said, well, just tell me. He said, no, Coco, I need you to pull over. I said, how am I going to pull over on the expressway like that? I said, no, just tell me. And so then I screamed, just tell me. And he said, they just found your daddy dead. Y'all. And he started screaming my name, Coco, Coco. Y'all. I said, you lying. He said, no, babe, I ain't lying. I said, you lying to me. My daddy's not dead. Y'all have to know my dad, dude. Anyway, I said, my daddy's not dead. My daddy's not dead. No, no. So now I done drove off the expressway. I'm at the light. I done made, and I didn't know that I did this until uh, the boss called me back. But in the process of all that, and me turning around and me screaming, I had I had got off the expressway, turned around, and I kept on saying, no, he's not dead. And then I'm screaming and crying, no, he's not dead. So at the same time, my cousin is screaming, where are you? I'm going to come and get you. Where are you? Where are you? Tell me where you are. And I mean, yeah, I had blanked out, okay? Before I knew it, I was pulling up in my daddy's driveway. And when I got out of the car, his neighbor said, hi, you must be, and said my daddy's name, daughter. He said, I am so sorry. When he said that, I fell. I fell. Like, just blacked out and just boom, hit. Okay, y'all, and I know death happens to everybody. But see, what y'all don't understand is my wedding anniversary is in May, okay? And my daddy was heavy on my mind that day of my anniversary. And I kept telling my husband, I said, we're going to have to get to my daddy. I don't know, I feel funny. And he said, okay, we will. But in Kentucky, when you travel to Louisville, it's Derby, okay? And we kept getting rerouted by the cops. I forgot, you know? So we kept getting rerouted by the cops. And I was like, I'm just trying to get to my daddy, you know? And so I didn't get to see him that day. And I told my husband, I said, we got to make sure, you know, we get to see him today. He said, baby, I'm going to try everything in my power. So, y'all, the next day was Sunday. Well, I started my job that Monday, okay? So, Sunday, I was like, I'm going to call my daddy. Well, I ain't getting no answer. And usually if I don't get no answer, he calls me back, you know, like later that day or whatever, and tells me I was out of the country, whatever the case may be, okay? So I was expecting him to give me a call back. And so I didn't pay no attention to it. I went on and went to sleep, got up that next morning to go start my new gig, right? And got the word that they had found my daddy dead. Y'all. Y'all. Y'all just don't know, man. Oh, oh God, y'all just don't know. So, so when I did come to, um, they had started calling. No, my phone was ringing, and it was one of my kids telling me that my auntie was trying to get in touch with me, which was one of my daddy's sisters. And I said, yeah, I'm here. And they was like, Mama, wait a minute, you at the house? I said, yeah, I'm here. And they said, you don't need to be by yourself. And so at that time, one of his sisters pulled up, and she just grabbed me and just held me. She said, baby, I'm so sorry. Because everybody know I'm my daddy's heart, you know? Y'all, if could nobody else find him, I knew where he was, you know? So, man, each year, I feel like it gets easier until this time rolls around and my body and my spirit and my mental go through this change. And yeah, I have been through so much extra once my daddy died. Oh my goodness. My siblings, not all of them, but some of them start to trip with me because, okay, this whole ordeal, y'all, happened around Mother's Day too. So imagine this. Imagine my anniversary, I can't see my daddy for whatever reason. It's like I said, we kept getting rerouted. The next day I called, he didn't answer. The day after that, they found him dead. that messed with your mental. It messed with mine. Because I felt like that Saturday, had I been able to get to him, I probably could have saw something was wrong and took him to the emergency room. So I've been having a hard time dealing with that because I felt it's my fault. And I know it's not, but I just felt like it was because that's my daddy. And I'm sorry. I'm a grown woman, but I swear when it comes to my daddy, I turn into a little bitty girl. I do. So, y'all, y'all just don't know. My dad was a giant. He was a short giant. His name rang bells, not only in Hollywood, I always call it Hollywood, but not only in Hollywood, but in the sports arenas. My dad was an African American, well, he was an African in America, but he also had two different Indian blood types running through his veins because his dad migrated from Africa. His dad is Geechee, which is my granddad. And my grandmother, which is his mother, her parents came here from France. And, well, her father came here from France. Her mother came here from Jamaica. Uh, so she's Creole and something else mixed in her because of who her parents was. And so they had my dad. So he had all that. You could look at him and tell he wasn't just straight black. You could look at, everybody used to try to, pick out what his ethnicity was. And he would crack up. He would just crack up. And my dad is a black man who, he claimed black. Whenever he filled out anything, he would tell everybody, I'm a proud black man. So, and they would say, well, ain't you? He said, yes, but whenever it boils down to it, he used to say, all the other people see, talking about other races, all they see is a nigger. And that's how he would say it. He said, I'm proudly black. So, people were shocked because my dad spoke and wrote 5 different languages fluently. Portuguese was one, French, Chinese, Manganese, I think, and it was one more. I want to say Japanese, but I could be wrong. But he wrote and spoke 5 different languages fluently. Oh, whatever it was is what the Arabs speak, because I know one of them is what the Arabs spoke. So I'll tell you about that in a minute. So he was impressive all by himself. My dad was in 2 major magazines. They wrote about him. He's been on the news. He's been in movies. He was the stunt guy in a couple movies. He trained celebrities. He used to be the bodyguard for a couple celebrities. One of the celebrities, and it's so funny that he used to bodyguard for, was Mike Tyson. And everybody said, Mike Tyson don't need no bodyguard, but my daddy came highly recommended, and he was his bodyguard when he came to Kentucky. Eddie Murphy was another one that he actually was his bodyguard when he came to Kentucky. I want to say Denzel, if I'm not mistaken, and a couple more. They all recommended him as their bodyguard and stuff. And so every time he would bodyguard somebody he know I liked, he would say, guess who I'm guarding tonight?" And especially at the time when he did Mike Tyson, and then he know I loved Eddie Murphy and Denzel, so I was just screaming when he was telling me about that. So I was like, "For real?" He said, "Yeah, right now, right now." I'm like, "Wow!" I was screaming and everything. So my daddy was in special forces. He would take missions that was impossible. So sometimes I actually y'all thought that's how I was gonna lose my dad because uh, he would get these assignments and you could only tell one person because you know when you go across enemy lines is deny accountability with the United States. So he could only tell one person just in case somebody would have to identify his body. You know, because they got a lot of bodies that are unknown bodies or unnamed bodies or something like that. That eventually they find who they are and they bring them back here and bury them in Arlington Cemetery or wherever the if they don't bury them there, they put a stake there, like, if they are buried there. And the family can bury them where they want them to be. Uh, y'all, when I tell y'all, my dad, I could tell him anything. Oh my goodness. I would call him and I'd be like, Daddy, I need to talk. He's like, okay, is this a coffee talk or is this something stronger? And I'd be cracking up. I'd say, hey, Dad, this is your daughter. His favorite line was, of course you are. Don't let nobody tell you different. And every time he said it, I would crack up laughing. I'm like, Daddy. And he said, he'll start there and say, hi, baby. Like that. And he used to call me his little black China doll. Yep, his little black China doll, and everything. And he bought this picture, and it would hang in his house because the picture looked like me. He saw it and was like, "That is my daughter," and bought it and hung it in his house. And when, before he died, rather, he gave it to me. And he told me, I bought this because it reminds me of you. It looks like you. And y'all, what's so funny is it's the sorority picture. And the sorority picture is who I actually pledged with. And he didn't know that. That's what is ironic about this picture. So I still have this picture hanging up in my house, AKA. So, yeah, I could go on and on and on with stories about my daddy, y'all. Sometimes people just don't understand that all you need sometimes is for somebody to just listen or be there for you while you go through. I am one of the people, I'm always there for people, but it's kind of hard for people to be there for me. So when you get that person that's there for you, you want to hold on to him, and that was my daddy. Like I said, even though he was my daddy, he didn't have to show up like he did. But my daddy was man, he was my superhero. Let me tell you something else, and I know y'all not going to believe this, but it's the truth, and I have all his credentials. I was younger, and my daddy had just got inducted as a ninja, okay? Yes, ninja, not nigga. Ninja, ninja, full-fledged ninja. And I remember he came and got me, and he was like, we're going to go to the park. And so he transformed into, he had his ninja stuff on. When we got to the park, he transformed into this ninja. And he was like, just keep walking. So we was walking, and he was walking with me, and all of a sudden his walks I couldn't hear him walk no more. He had learned to walk on leaves and not make noise. I thought that was awesome. And then he disappeared up in a tree. Oh my goodness. When I'm thinking about that, I was cracking. I was like, oh my goodness. Y'all not ready for my family. I keep telling y'all, my man, my daddy was my superhero. He was my black superhero. And a wealth of knowledge, man. And I see where I get it from because I'm a knowledge buff. I love knowledge, and I love to learn, and I love nerds, and people always say to me, girl, this, that, and the other. If that cat is in my window, me and this cat gonna fight. No, it's not. Okay. But I do. I love nerds because I don't know, this is just their brain. Everybody else is focused on people's body and looks and stuff. But I love a good brain. I love a humble heart. I love Oh my goodness, if you can make me laugh, if you can let me feel that you love me, you ain't gotta be the handsomest person in the world for the world to say, because looks don't mean everything, but it's how you treat me. And it just trips me out, y'all. So today, some of my grandkids came over. I had altogether 6 over here, and one of my daughters and her husband, and one of my son's friends, that's like a brother. All of them, they was over here in my yard. I got a basketball rim in the back, and they still playing basketball, and the grandkids was running around, and it just took me back to a happy time. I really needed that. My daughter, she came in for a minute, and the grandkids, they came in the house, and I started watching the Beyonce Beychella thing. Yeah, you better get in the Beyonce Beychella thing. She was watching it with me, and the grandkids was eating, and then my son-in-law went outside with one of my boys and my baby girl, and they out there with the friends. They start hooping. I mean, I needed that today, and it's like God knew I needed it, so I wouldn't get into the depressed state. And I knew, man, I just needed that today. And so to sit back and just look and like, wow, these people came from me. Like my kids and my grandkids, man, these people came from me. And then to have a blessing for me to talk to my mom and laugh with her and all this and stuff, I'm like, man. So I know some of y'all are like, oh, the quarantine, and you need to stay in the house, you need to do this. Y'all, I am a person that lives life. I've seen so much death in my life that I learned how to embrace life, liberty, and love. So, don't judge me for being outside, and I won't judge you for not being outside. Let's just respect each other in our prospective places. That's all we have to do. But I miss my daddy, y'all. I miss my daddy. Oh my goodness. I was sitting here watching a movie because one of the other things me and my daddy used to do, we used to drink coffee together, and we used to watch martial arts movies and westerns. And oh my goodness, this one particular martial arts movie we love, and I was watching it tonight, and all I could just think about is my daddy, and my dad, y'all. I could really get into some stuff and tell y'all about him. Oh my goodness. My daddy, another thing me and him used to do together, our pastime was we used to go shoot and we used to roller skate. My daddy used to be a roller guard at the skate rink. And so I used to get in for free because my daddy was a guard. This man, when I tell you he was one of them that could really, really skate like he was born with skates on his feet. He could spin around in circles. He could go down in splits. He could do all that on skates and everything. And he skated until he 64 years old. He was 64 when he stopped skating, and he died when he was 65. And that's just one of my favorite pastimes. I remember that I didn't know that my dad ever heard me sing when I was little. Because he used to always tell me, sing, baby, sing. Because, see, him and my mom wasn't together. And he used to always tell me, my baby can sing, my baby can sing. And I was wondering how he knew that. But then when we got to talking, I remember how he knew it. So somehow he got the word that I was leading a solo when I was 8 years old, okay, at my church. And it's like right before I walked down to get the mic, my dad was standing at the back of the church. He had just stepped in. I remember that. I just didn't, y'all. And I sung a solo, and he told me, he said, it brought tears to my eyes. He said, I was like, look at my baby. He said, my black China doll, listen to her like that. what happened to my dad could sing too. And he wrote this song when he was in his late teens, early 20s called Pretty Little Schoolgirl. And it was about my mama. And you know, back then, you can get famous with the blink of an eye, you know? And he let a friend hear the song. Somehow, somebody changed the name of the song and recorded it, and that song went, you know, went in population. And he couldn't prove that he owned it because, you know, it's just something that he wrote about my mama, Pretty Little Schoolgirl, and everything. So I'm like, wow, I need to stop smacking my lips. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm much more intellectual than that. So, uh, my dad was a cop. He worked his way from being a cop to a narcotics detective. And he did other stuff too. I just, y'all, I miss my daddy. I do. Man, I'm serious. I miss my daddy, man. I went through so much hell just to bury him, man. I did. Now I found out, you know how you have unclaimed money? Well, some people over here lost the forms. So somebody else claimed this money for my daddy. And they won't tell me who claimed it, which I have the power of attorney. I have everything. Like, everything has to go through me. So I don't know how they were able to do that. It must have been one of his wives, his ex-wife. That's the only way I could see that the government would give them that check, is if they proved that they was married to him. But I'm the one who the court gave power of attorney. The court gave, which I had power of attorney from my daddy. So if he got sick or whatever, I was the one to make the final decisions. But I forgot what that's called when the courts give you the one make all the decisions and stuff like that. So y'all, I went through a lot. I just went through a lot, man. And some other day I get into that where I went through the bury just to get my daddy buried, man. Because a whole lot of people owed him money. He had such a good heart. He would train people and they would say, I'm gonna make sure that by the next training session I pay you what I owe you and all this and stuff. And he would go, okay, okay. Y'all, they didn't pay him. You know, he had a great heart, and he wanted me to take over his school that he had. And I said, Daddy, I'm different than you. If they ain't got the money, there will be no training. And I mean that, and I tell them, you ain't got your money, you can't pay up tonight. We'll see you when you can. But see, my daddy loved what he did so much. He just wanted to teach people. So that didn't work out because I'm like, yeah, Daddy, I understand you want people to learn and all this and stuff, but this is a business and you got bills like everybody else, you know. So that's where we differed from. And I'll tell y'all that story in another live. But yeah, y'all, my daddy was my hero. My daddy was so intelligent. Oh, he was so intelligent. And I was like, I think that's why I like nerds, you know? Because most of the time, girls like men that are like their dads, you know? I think that's why. Now, my husband is not a nerd, but he's smart, but he's not a nerd. So, I don't know, I still don't know how me and him got together, but it is what it is. But I love me a nerd. I love being a nerd. I used to date this guy. I think I was telling y'all about him. He used to be my boss, my CEO, and then he became I became his dominatrix, and he became my submissive. Well, eventually he proposed to me, and I said yes. Okay. And I told my I told my daddy. He said what? I said the business owner I was telling you about. I said he proposed to me, and I said yes. He said, how's that gonna work? He said, you don't went from making him bark like a dog. See, my daddy was real. Oh my goodness, then he started talking in that language. And I'm like, I don't understand that. And he would come back to English. He said, made him bark like a dog on all fours and all this and stuff like that. He said, how's that gonna work? Oh my goodness. I said, well, Daddy, I said, your daughter ain't an angel. He said, you my angel. I said, well, that might be true, but I done been in some things. I said, especially, you already said I made the man bark like a dog. So can you imagine how I made him bark like a dog? He said, no, and I don't want to imagine it. I cracked up. But see, my daddy, honey, my daddy was a sexologist too. When I tell you this man, baby, them women would line up to have a piece of my daddy. And when he passed away, I went in this special closet that he got, and he had this top secret suitcase. It was silver chrome and all this and stuff. I'm sorry, y'all, I need to blow my nose, but I'm gonna get up in a minute and blow it. Uh, anyway, honey, you would be surprised what was in there. Okay? That's all I'm gonna say. And he talked about, that's why he understood me so much being a dominatrix. That's why he understood it. Because he was a whole trip and a half when it came to that, baby. I even had women tell me, honey, I know that's your daddy, but baby, that man can go forever. I was like, are you going to ever come? But see, what they don't know is me, my daddy used to talk. We used to talk raw. If people heard us talking, they would be like, well, how y'all father and daughter? But that's the type of relationship we had. Because I would have some questions, especially when he knew, when he found out about his nephew molesting me and all this and stuff. And then he realized that I was in love with him because I started hiding what he was doing to me. And I wouldn't tell my daddy when I would see him and all this. It went deep. So my daddy, he finally, asked me one day, he looked at me, he said, oh my goodness. I said, what? He said, Coco. I said, what, Daddy? He said, you're in love with him. And I just dropped because I couldn't lie to my daddy, y'all. I couldn't lie to him. And I just dropped my head and started crying. He said, you're in love with him. And I shook my head and said, yes, like that. And he just hugged me. He just hugged me. Because when he found out, it was already too late. I was already submissive to my cousin. So, he's the one who taught me how to strip. Because my cousin used to be a stripper. He taught me how to strip. He taught me what to wear. I mean, training one-on-one, baby. So, when my daddy found out about that, he tried to kill that boy. Oh my goodness, he literally tried to kill that boy. I mean, tried to erase his life off the map. And I remember what he told my husband. He told my husband, he said, take care of my daughter. He said, if I give you my daughter, you better take care of her like I would. And he said, yes, sir. He said, I am. He said, till my death. My daddy said, okay, now if she called me, I'm coming, and I'm not going to understand. Yes, sir. Like that. So, my husband reminds me every now and then, I promised your daddy I was going to take care of you. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. So, and he does, My daddy loved him. My daddy told me, he said, sorry, y'all. My daddy said, you got a good guy. You got a real good guy. He got issues. We all do. He said, but sometimes a bad woman can turn a good man bad, but it takes a better woman to bring out the best in him. He said, and you that woman. He said, and he loves you. He said, he loves you. And that wasn't fake for me. He said, no, that man really loves you. And so to hear my daddy say that and to give his approval, it meant a lot to me, you know. So, tell you I'm a daddy's girl. My daddy told me the tree was blue. I believe it. I don't care how many pictures you bring to me, let me know it's brown. I think it's blue. So, May's rolling up. I know we got a whole month, but today I just felt it, y'all. I'm just like, I miss my daddy. What I would not give to have one of his hugs and to hear him once again say, Coco baby. In the way that he said with that accent, Coco baby. Oh my goodness. Coco baby. Oh. I'll be like, Daddy, this is your daughter. Sure you are. Don't let nobody tell you different. I mean, just, oh my goodness. And to see that smile on that man's face. Oh, I miss my daddy, y'all. I miss him so much. He's also he's one of the ones that was instrumental in me changing my temper. I had a very bad temper. And I know when I say that, y'all hear that, y'all like, most of us got bad tempers. No. You don't understand to the level of my temper was. It was a cross between me surviving and me dying. I had no fear. None. None. Okay, let me say that again. None. And when I was in the gang, this gang was something else, boy. They was not to be played with. So I was in the gang, and they found out who my dad was. And they politely told me, I'm telling y'all, my dad was a big deal, okay? And I know y'all like, a gang said that, baby. My daddy was a big deal. Do you hear me? And in my layman's term, they didn't want the smoke that he could bring. They didn't want it. Like, my daddy was one of them that could wipe out a whole family. So imagine what he would do with a gang. So I remember them telling me, we like you, but you gotta get out of here. You can't come back in here. And when we see you, we'll speak. You'll always be one of us in a sense. But we don't want that with your daddy. You gotta go. You ain't tell us who your daddy was. And now we found out who your daddy is and you agreed that that's your daddy. Now you gotta go. I was like, I had never heard of that in my life. Had never heard of it. So he knew what I was trying to do, though. I needed to, at the time, I wanted to belong to something, you know. And my fight game was on hunted. So why not join the game, you know? So, but yeah, he made them take me out. He found out his daughter was in the game. He's like, oh, what a leader. Man walked straight up in the game. Okay, y'all ain't ready. Like I said, what I would not give to see my daddy with his cigarette in his hand, his beanie on his head, with a cup of coffee sitting in front of him while he sit Indian style. Wow, what I wouldn't give to see that right now. I didn't hear him say, Coco baby, Coco baby. I can't even do it. I don't have a clip tongue like I can do. Coco baby, Coco baby, something. Man, wow. I to see him. Oh, let me tell you. So all of my siblings, but one, has a specialty that our daddy taught us. Mine's is swords and knives. My sister is certified. Her name is actually registered with the state of Kentucky because she's deadly with it. He was about to register me, but he died. But I'm almost as deadly as her. I know more about it. She actually can work it better. See, my dad went into poisons with me that he didn't go in with anybody else. So I know different poisons. And I know about blades and things like that where other people got learned more technique. I got the ins and outs of different things. So I actually can work a sword with my eyes closed. I told y'all he was a ninja. So he taught us different things. Like one of my brothers, deadly. Oh my goodness. Deadly. Ain't nothing to play with. And when you see him, you wouldn't think it. You look at him and go, oh, he ain't nothing to him. Deadly. Here. He had to get registered at the state of Indiana. His hands. Deadly. So, I haven't worked the sword in a while because it reminds me of my dad. But I do still mess with the knife. I do. I still mess with the knife. But the sword, and I got my own personal sword, but then I got my dad's swords, the real big long ones, and I can work it too, just like it was a knife. And I remember when he told everybody he was teaching us different things, but then when they walked in, they saw me blindfolded working the sword, and they was like, he was telling them, shaking his head like, because that's what they told me when they took the blindfold out. Because I could hear people come in, but he was shaking their head, telling them to be quiet because he was giving me instructions. And those swords was paper thin, baby. I mean, paper short, where you could just barely hit a piece of paper and the whole paper go straight through. And had I missed, I could have cut my finger off and everything. So it was really important. So, baby, but now I'm a bad girl. I can work a sword like I can work a pocket knife. I'm telling you. And everybody asks me, you got some guns over there, blah, blah, blah. I don't need them. I don't need it. Trust me. Now, don't get me wrong. I do know how to work a gun. I know everything about it. About a shotgun, I know everything about them. About bullets. I know what to do to bullets. Different things like that. Like I said, my daddy taught me stuff. He taught me poisons. He taught me a whole bunch of stuff that a whole lot of my siblings don't even know. It wouldn't be nothing for me and him to sit and have a conversation over coffee about sex. Uh, and I know y'all gonna think it. And I ain't gonna tell y'all that because if somebody say something bad about my daddy, that's gonna trigger me. So I'm not gonna say that. But I will say this. He taught me a lot. He taught me a lot because I had a lot of questions, and I knew between him and his sister, which is his older sister, my aunt, they would answer them. Good, better, and different. They would answer my questions. So I just want y'all to come out here and let y'all know I'm still up looking at my daddy's picture where I was before I started sitting in the dark, looking at his picture and thinking about him and wow, just missing my daddy. Oh, I miss my daddy. So hopefully I'm through crying for tonight. I'm not going to say I'm through crying, period, because I know as I get closer to the day that he died, I'm going to be crying some more. I will be back to tell y'all different things that happened with his death and the family, a whole bunch of other stuff. But I just don't want to make this too long of a live. But my daddy was my hero, y'all. He was my hero. Very intelligent, short man, but deadly. I mean deadly. Let me tell you this, and then I'm going to disconnect. My daddy walked into a store right across the street from where he lived at. And these was Arabs that ran this store. And when they look at us, they call us porch monkeys, okay? They don't think we know anything. So my daddy was getting what he was getting, and they began to speak in their language about an African American woman that was in there talking up under her clothes about her hair, talking about they would like to. I mean, my daddy said they were saying some disgusting, vile stuff about that, and it pissed him off so bad. Usually, my daddy don't let people know what he know, but it pissed him off so bad that they had the God, he said, to be talking about this woman. He said she was nice looking, and they was talking about how big her butt was, what they wanted to do to her, make her suck them, all this and stuff. That my dad turned around and started speaking in their language. And he said he they backed up and looked at him, and he kept speaking in their language. He said he warned them in their language. If I ever hear you talking about another African American woman like that up under her clothes, I'm going to come back over here and I'm going to kill you. So they knew that it's a possibility this man could do exactly what he said because he's talking in my language. And matter of fact, he's talking a little bit better than I am in my own dialect. And so they gave my daddy his stuff for free. They was just like, take it, you know. So he took it and went back across the street, went home, and every time he would come over, they would honor him, we good today, we're good today, not say nothing, you know. And my daddy used to say, Camel Jockey, MF was, he's like, I can't stand him, Camel Jockey, mother, you know. I'm like, Daddy, behave, you know. But you never know who knows what, you know. Now, I know some stuff. I don't know a lot, but I know some stuff. Now, I never tell what language I know, and it's not Spanish either. So for some reason, I couldn't get Spanish, but in my family, we speak several languages fluently. Like I said, my daddy was just that man. He spoke and wrote five, so not including English. So, but anyway, y'all, I'm gonna get off of here, and that's just my tales from the hood, from my family. Like I said, I love me a nerd. It ain't got nothing to look with the. It ain't got nothing to do with the looks, you know. Cause I know some of y'all be like, these dudes is horrible looking and stuff. But if the man can show me he loves me and make me laugh and has my best interest at heart, baby, and we can talk and be intellectual together and just, vibe off each other, man. There you go, right there. So y'all be blessed. This is Coco 929 with my Daddy Chronicles. Smooches.